finest reformers of entrepreneurship in Kerala. It is an honor to introduce Mr. Ajit Mopin, the moderator for the first panel discussion. Ajit Mopin is the Vice President of TiECON Kerala and the Chairman of MN Holdings, a business group having interest in manufacturing, plantation, retail, and investments. After earning his BTech from the University of Kerala and an MBA from the University of Mumbai, he joined the family business and led it to great success. Handing over to Mr. Mopin to introduce our panelists and begin the session. Thank you. On stage.
So this is, just to start, give you a perspective. This is not a typical young Turks panel, they are all successful people, not to demean success in by any measure. Sorry? A Q&A is not allowed at the moment. Mary, I tell you when to ask. I have a lot of friends among the audience. So these are young entrepreneurs. Couple of them are second generation, couple of them first generation, and they have treaded the unbeaten paths. They've tried something deviated from the traditional business or something which they've tried, groomed in and deviated and went into a totally different line and found success. So young Turks in that respect, this is a term coined by our president, so Rajesh Nair. So I'll introduce one by one to the extreme, to your extreme left is Rekha Babu. She's an engineer and an MBA from PSG Institute of Management. Started career in Tata Motors and ventured into real estate, education, health sectors. Her current profession is in Ayurveda, and in a niche field is mother and baby care in Ayurveda. So this was, I think, a serendipitous birth of twin boys, which led her to this track, I'm told. Her company is run by the name Sutika Ayurveda Mother and Baby Care Limited. Private Limited, sorry. So Rekha has won many accolades and awards in her career. A couple of them I will highlight as Best Women Entrepreneur by Department of Social Welfare, Government of Kerala 2012. Winner of Global Outreach Healthcare Award for Excellence in Startup in Women Healthcare by Red Inno, right? Red Inno, 2017. So that's Rekha. Would you please stand up and be recognized? So I'll introduce all four of them, and then each one of them will go about sharing their stories with you all. And then I may have a couple of questions for them. The two ladies were very curious about the questions, but from whatever they share. And then it be open. We have an open forum for all of you to have a Q&A. And I'll give a sum up later. So that's how we conduct the session. And next we have Sarah John. She's the founder and CEO of Blue Timber Music. I looked up, when I find strange words, I always look up the dictionary and look at the pronunciation, and it was said that that's pronunciation. So we have to leave it to the founder, the option. Okay, so we'll go by Blue Timber. So it's a very, very uniquely different concept. By the way, she hails from one of the most illustrious business families in Cochin, in Kerala. grandfather being credited with being one of the founder of communist movement, apart from being an entrepreneur, the renowned Pilot Chetan, and her father, John Kepal, is here, right in front of her. So, Sarah, we are from the traditional parts and founded this music academy, recording studio, and a jam room. It's a 3-in-1 facility. She's based out of Bangalore, and I was just chatting with her. I have found that she's running music. She teaches music in schools as part of the curriculum. So we have it's a very different and very unique field which we have to learn from Sarah. Sarah, would you stand up and be recognized? Thank you. Then we have Kishore. Sorry, I won't break the sequence. Yeah, we have Saiju Arvind. Saiju is a defense scientist turned educationist. Basic qualification, naval architecture, and masters in applied mechanics from IIT Delhi. The ladies are suddenly shifting seat. Are you terrified of Saiju? No. Okay. Okay. All right, Kumar. So then Saiju had a long tenure in Indian Navy as a commander, and the most illustrious organization in defense, the DRDO, Defense Research and Development Organization. It's a cutting technology in defense. It's all shaped there. So he had a very illustrious career, and then he is now veered off into education. He's founder and CEO of EduBrisk Knowledge Solutions Private Limited. Well, here again, there is a motivation factor was, learning difficulties of his child, which prompted him to, go into, so there was a research and innovation which led to the development of a technology, unique pioneering education technology, and integrated e-learning platform for personalized learning. That is his forte, and he has also bagged several awards like Tukral Award, Garg Memorial Award, Chief of Naval Staff Commendation, and many like that. So, Saiju, please stand up and be recognized. And then we have Kishore George. He's a co-founder and MD of Liso Chocolates. If any of you all, if you have been to any of the malls in Cochin, you wouldn't miss it. A very, very visible presence. Even with small kiosks, I really commend you on the branding, Kishore. And of course, the product too. So, Kishore cut his teeth in, can you guess it? He's a mechanical engineer, by the way, by qualification. All of you are engineers here, is it? Yeah? Yeah, naval architect including, yeah. Okay, very distinguishedly, this panel. So, he cut his teeth in mining, right? That was the first business, stone mining, or what we commonly known as quarries, stone quarries. And he faced some obstacles, politically motivated, and so he is veered off into this confectionery field, and he's incidentally teamed up with a good friend of mine also, Jacob Joy, his partner is here in the audience. So, and he's gone about it in a very, very structured way. He went to Canada to learn about the fundamentals of chocolate making, then worked with some gourmet chefs in Australia. Did you feature yourself in any of the Master Chef? No, you did not. Okay. And then he learned for technological aspects. He went to Germany, trained himself well, and then launched LISO in 2016 together with Jacob Joy. So here's to you, Kishore George. So each one of them will now share their individual stories with you, and then
Rajesh texted me about the label of this panel, title of this panel, and I was like, it took me back, years back into memory lane. I remember the first time I saw the governing council members of the Young Men's Christian Association, the YMCA. And I'm very sorry for the seniors sitting here, but it did take a couple of days for me to get over the shock of, who people call as young. So now I think it's pure karma that, several decades later, I am sitting here under a label young. So anyway, this is something I've been telling all of them from the time I came here. See, the next couple of minutes that I have, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to share a little bit of the stories of my past, some things from my present, and a bit of my aspirations about the future. I was born to be an entrepreneur. I know it sounds very arrogant, but if you look at the Google definition, it says very oriented, focused, goal-driven. These are the definitions you will see in Google or Wikipedia. But I have a very simple definition for who an entrepreneur is. I would say an entrepreneur is Jack, or in my case, I would say Jill, of all trades, but master of none. Only that kind of a person can become an entrepreneur. Way back when I started my career with Tata Motors, I was into sales. And the only thing you are expected to do as a salesperson is sell. You're not expected to go on the shop floor and, check out the quality of the vehicles that's coming out. No, you're only expected to be a master in sales. Sell, sell, and sell. And being a Jill of all trades, I got thoroughly bored. Later, when I went on to do my own venture in real estate, which is an extension of my family business, again, being a marketing MBA, I ended up doing marketing and sales. 2008, the recession was so bad that as a family venture, we decided that the particular vertical in which I'm working, we need not increase our footprints in that vertical. So what did that do to me? I ended up with no work. But the advantage of being in a family business is, even if you don't have work, there is a job. Nobody throws you out. Unlike all these things that's happening in the IT sector, you still have your comfortable office and your chair and your lifestyle. But I got bored again. And boredom, ladies and gentlemen, is an amazing thing. It is actually the breeding ground for ideas. And I'm a huge idea person, and I keep getting these weird ideas. And I keep bombarding my sister, who's my partner, with all these weird ideas. So it reached a stage where she said, Rekha, please don't stop talking. At least if you're talking, I know what all weird things you're thinking. The minute you're silent, I'm scared. We don't know what you're thinking, right? So, but jokes apart, when you keep on coming up with ideas, sometimes you do it, sometimes you don't, people stop believing in your ideas. They say like, okay, she's thinking so much, she's doing nothing, or she's doing something, but there's nothing going on there. So that's a very, I would say, not a very happy situation. But being a serial entrepreneur, one of the beauty is that, while you are traveling this journey, you come across so many interesting people. And some of them are willing to spend their time, their money, and the energy in sharing your dream. And Sutika is a result of such a partnership with a person who believed in my story, Hemant Prakash. And it has been a very good journey so far. He's a co-founder of Sutika with me. And this moment, I have to mention another person who was there, Chetan. See, 4.5 years back when we started, Sutika started as an online Prodice, which is a product and a service bundled together. And it was an online product. So obviously, you need a website integrated with a payment gateway. Now, when you look at it, it's a cakewalk, having a website with a payment gateway, right? But 4.5 years back, based out of Cochin and with hardly any money in your hand, doing a website integrated with a payment gateway was not a joke. So Chetan was the one who kickstarted the whole thing. He did the most beautiful website for us, integrated it with the payment gateway, and sort of we kickstarted Sutika with his effort. So what I can say is when you don't have money, sometimes it's very good. Being frugal in innovation or being frugal in startup is an excellent thing. I just want to take a few minutes and share my experiences regarding what a startup entrepreneur is vis-a-vis a regular business person. I think there are a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs I can see sitting there. So you can make a choice as to what you want to become, whether you want to become a startup entrepreneur or you want to become a business person. On one side, I do run mainstream business. I have a couple of schools where I'm the chairperson. And when you're in a mainstream business, what happens is you have other examples in front of you, and you can learn from their experiences. Here in Sutika, what happens is we are a brand with no competition. It sounds great to say that you are a blue ocean brand. It sounds great. But the problem is you don't have any examples, you don't have any experiences which you can learn from. And then what happens is you are making your own mistakes. And mistakes sometimes can be very, very expensive. So what do we do at Sutika is being a multifaceted organization, we have compartmentalized into several sections. And in each vertical, we have identified the closest that we can as a, as a competition or as something close to us in a operational way. And then we follow their experiences and learn from them. For example, we are an Ayurveda service, but do we do the regular service way of starting a Panchakarma center or a massage center? No. We are following a different pattern of following the home healthcare centers. It's a home care program. We are a skill development company. But what we realized when we went about skill developing is our job role is maternal and newborn baby care. And there's no job role like that in India at present. We ended up working with NSDC, the National Skill Development Corporation, to create a job role like that. So this is what happens when it is a startup venture with nothing else to look at or no other people working in a similar setup with you. When I talked about this job role, this is another thing which I feel fundamentally different between a business and a startup. See, when I'm running a school or if you're running a hospital, you need teachers, you need a doctor. You know the exact qualification of the person who needs to fit that role, right? But in our case, what happens is there is no educational background that I can pin on to fill any job role in my organization. See, as I said, we are an Ayurveda product, but we are not taking the route taken by other Ayurveda products. The salesperson in our organization needs to be a pharma person. He needs to understand Ayurveda, and he needs to be a concept seller. Sounds like a paragon of virtue, right? Very difficult to find a person to fit into this kind of a shoe. So this is another major difference. We have a lot of jobs in our organization, but no definite job role. So it becomes the duty of the founders to find what all work needs to be done. So it's a constant learning process, not only for us, but also for the team. Ladies and gentlemen, when I said constant learning process, that is where I am today. It's a constant learning journey. It's a very happy place to be. And I think because of this constant journey is why I'm not getting bored with Sutika. Otherwise, I would have got bored by now. Boredom is something which I'm very prone to. But as I said, it's a very happy place to be. And today, if I'm standing here, I'm very happy to be here. I wouldn't trade this place for any other place in this world. Looking back into my past, I have no regrets. I failed miserably several times over. But when I look back, what I understand is some of those failures could have been avoided. Looking back, I feel, failure is not the end. In those days, in my younger days, I used to think when things are not working and you fail somewhere in some projects, you're like, okay, this is the end. But failure is not the end. It is just a platform to evolve. It's a platform to reinvent. And that is what we are doing right now. And that is our future. To talk about the aspirations of my future, at a very early, very, very early stage, we worked with the Kudumbashri of Kerala. We presented Sutika as a self-sustained women entrepreneurship program for the financial and social inclusion of women at the bottom of the pyramid, through skill development. It was very well received by Kudumbashree, and we did see quite a bit of good things happening for us. And this gave us an opportunity to work outside Kerala. Ladies and gentlemen, when I went outside Kerala and started working there is when I realized how blessed I am to be a woman who's born, brought up, living and working in Kerala. Trust me, it's very difficult out there. Thank you. I would have expected a bit more of applause. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll take only one more minute. See, why I said that is, cutting across sections, financial and social, what I've seen in Kerala is the women are so empowered vis-a-vis what I see anywhere across India. And I would go to the extent of saying we have women militancy in Kerala. How many of you agree with that? Only women are agreeing with this. Can I see some more raised hands? Didn't you see them bashing up the poor auto rickshaw driver the other day? What else am I talking about?
No, I think the men are scared to raise their hands.
Yeah. I'm not going to get out from here till the end of the session, so don't be worried. Yeah, but jokes apart, yeah, I personally think empowerment has taken a extent to militancy. Yeah, as a closure, I just want to say, I read a quote the other day by Oprah Winfrey that said, "To move forward, we have to give something back." So could be from a purely selfish reason, because I want myself and my brand to move forward. We as a brand, we believe in doing good. Not, from the sense that, it makes us feel good. The looking good part comes as an add-on benefit, so it helps. So as a brand, our future aspirations are, we want to create 10,000 self-sustained women entrepreneurs by the year 2025. Thank you.
Well spoken, Rekha. Thank you. And I request next Sarah to please come and share. And I think that if it would be nice if we can stick to a 10-minute.
Did I exceed my time?
A little bit, maybe.
1 minute.
Yeah. It's okay. No.
All right. Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for having me here, because I'm really at the start of my journey, so compared to all the rest of the panelists. So just to tell you a little bit about me, as Ajit already mentioned, I'm Sarah. I'm a part of, my family owns and runs the Kutukaran Group. The flagship company is Popular. I'm sure many of you know about the company. And I started my journey as, I'm an engineer and MBA. Started in a tech company many years ago in Bangalore. And from there, I was in a sales marketing role, learned a lot, but then, wanted to move on to more. I was interested in finance and business, and then I had the opportunity to work in banking. So I was with Standard Chartered Bank for a few years in their corporate banking. It's all completely different, I know, from engineering to sales to finance. And then I did my MBA, and I returned to my family business in, I think, 2011. And as many of you would have guessed, the family business is mainly in automobiles. It's got nothing to do with what I did. And it's got nothing to do with what I'm doing now. So I did join the family business. And the great thing about our family business is they've always encouraged us to look beyond what they're doing and look beyond automobiles and explore something that we are passionate about and that we want to develop by ourselves. And with that sort of encouragement is how, my passion, which is music, came into fruition. So I had the opportunity to explore the music industry. I launched the business for a music company as well. And bringing all that together, I took the leap and started up Blue Timber Music. That's my baby, with a couple of people that I came across in my journey. My partner is a musician by profession, and the two of us got together a little, maybe a couple of years ago, 2.5 years ago, and we started bringing Blue Timber together. And what does Blue Timber actually do? One is, we're based out of Bangalore, so it's great to be back home. I'm from Cochin. Blue Timber does 3 different things. One is we have a flagship office in Bangalore that does music education. We do performance, and we have a production, music production as well, all in one space. In addition to what we do there, we also have 2 different things, which is we take music education to schools. In my journey, what we found is, although we've been passionate about music, and especially Western music, today all the kids want to learn the guitar, the piano, the drums. And there is no organized methodology of teaching this. There's no structure. It's anybody who can strum a few chords thinks that they can teach. And that's been going on. That's what we grew up with. And today that has changed. People want more. People want better. Okay? So this is where we have brought in a very structured format and a very organized methodology of teaching music. We work with schools where we provide end-to-end music education, including the facility, the infrastructure. We provide trained, certified, police-verified teachers. That's all important today in schools. We run the curriculum, we manage it, and we also help the children, work towards a performance. And we believe that's key. I mean, nobody can perform unless they're actually confident about what they've learned and what they know. So that's the whole premise of Blue Timber. And we've already started working in Bangalore with a few schools. We also have a music production division where we work with, events. We work with companies that develop advertisements. And all this is integrated into our teaching. So we also teach music production. And our students get an exposure into that line of, the complete end-to-end of music, creating music, learning music, and production of music as well. So that's what Blue Timber does, and I'm really happy to be able to talk about this. It's a completely different line of things from automobiles, and it's probably very different to what many of you have heard. There's nothing like this out there, and I really believe the way we teach and the way we are trying to evolve our businesses. There's this really interesting saying that I've always followed is, giving a man a fish and he eats for that day versus teaching a man to fish. And that's the complete philosophy of what we do. We teach them the fundamentals. We ensure their concepts are strong. We ensure that they actually know what music is about. And we equip them to develop further from there. In terms of, and I mean, this is just the beginning, like I said, my journey, we've officially launched mid last year. We're 1 year into things, and we're learning a lot of things every day. We made a lot of mistakes as well, but it's okay. That's a part of our journey. We are learning, and I think we're going to be everywhere, and we're going to be there very soon. So we have a lot of aspirations, and we're working on those as well. Still a young company. And with that, I'll wind up. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon to all. Borrowed Kishore's watch to ensure that I'm... just came to know hear from Ajit that Rekha... Sorry? Yeah, that Rekha's journey started with the twins. Thank God I didn't have twins. I had only one son. Maybe I should get back and see whether we can start the journey with twins. We may be able to do more than what we have already. You're still young. Okay. So in 2013, when I was about to retire from the DRDO as a scientist, we had several plans to get into turbo machineries, get into hydrodynamics research, and things like that. But that was the time, coincidentally, that was the time my son had also gone through a lot of difficulty in learning. So, and interestingly, that was a time a lot of books came out in the market, like Joshua Foer's Moonwalking with Einstein and Benedict Carey's How We Learn. So all these, there was, I know, right now many neuroscientists say that this is the most appropriate time to learn more about or research into neuroscience, because the study in neuroscience is impacting learning or also helping teachers and educationists to redefine the way children learn and redefine teaching. So when we came to know about the learning difficulty of my son, we were thinking about how we can help, because my wife was a teacher and I had good grip in learning and teaching also, but we were not unable to help our own child. So I did one good thing at that time, that I took around 10 children who were very good in their subjects and we went on a picnic, and later on asked the parents whether these children can stay with us for a few days. When they stayed, I was closely observing how these children who are very good in certain subjects, how do they learn, and why do they learn, what is the impetus, and how do they connect. So we did some small experiments, started helping, and it started producing very good result, not only in my son but around 30-40 other children around. And how things like what we realized at that time is, what we teach in school is generally content like math, physics, chemistry, or history, English. But what smart children have is learning skill, which is different from the content itself. Learning skill is the ability to grasp, retain the information, integrate it with so many other information, and personalize it and make it their own. That's learning skill. And learning skill works with this basic skills like memory, logic, attention, process oriented, the process of learning, etc. So what I observed at that time is that these children, they unintentionally or unknowingly follow a brain friendly method. So when we worked on with these children and tried to demystify or decode the way they learn, and then we would ask the other children to mimic it, and the results were very encouraging and wonderful. In a short span of a month, these children, they get back into learning, they reinvent their learning, they start celebrating knowledge. So there's a very nice Vedic aphorism which says, adhado brahma jignasa, which means everybody has this innate propensity to learn, to know everything, if we could learn it easily. So the problem comes with the difficulty. So later on, when we started interacting more and more with children who are apparently intelligent but they are not able to do well in school, we found that these children have so much of natural curiosity and innate propensity to learn, but they are when they are taught in the normal the conventional way of teaching, they at times even develop hatred for subjects. So that's when we started working with schools across India, Kochi, Bangalore, Dubai, Qatar, a few schools, and tried to teach the teachers the learning skill part, and they can in turn impart it to the students. So initially a program which was meant for students, but then the teachers started onboarding through a program called STEP. So we had a program called SCORE in the beginning, that is student curriculum oriented empowerment with learning skill. But then with the teachers coming in, we started calling it and I added a program called STEP, school teacher empowerment program, based on a brain friendly learning process. Then I must certainly mention the partners who joined the first. It was initially my MedGenome's founder Sam who gave me the idea that probably we should convert this into a platform, an e-learning platform where teachers can or students can and parents can also use it. So with that came our technology partners, Feathersoft, Clairvoyant, and Emerge Ventures was the first company to invest and gave us the seed funding to develop this platform. So once the platform was ready, we launched it in the market. As all entrepreneurs said, there were difficult times, good times, and we are happy that we launched the product even before it finished, something like around a year back, because that gave us the feedback from the market and we could tweak the product to their requirement. We became really popular in Dubai through the Knowledge and Human Development Authority, certifying us KHDA, certifying our learning skill program, and even the platform, which is compatible, fully conforming with the KHDA standards. So that's how it then came the third arm of EduBrisk, that is the concept which we popularize is something called neuroplasticity. That means the ability of the brain to rewire. And as we learn new things, the ability of the plastic nature of the brain to rewire, to learn more. For that to happen, there is a minimum number of period and some sort of practice which is required. So we wanted parents to encourage their children to do that. So we launched the PALM program, PALM, Parent as Life Mentors, where we teach the parents the brain-friendly learning part. Then with the 3 parent, teacher and the student onboarding together, the journey became much more faster, and we are working into adaptive learning algorithm and artificial intelligence with Clairvoyant. So that's the journey. We'll talk the rest about it from the question answer session. Thank you.
Hi everyone. I was in quarrying industry for 15 years in Tamil Nadu, and my business was doing really well. By any standards you look at it, whether it's compliance or tax paying records. One day, for some reason, some of my tax records fell into the hands of certain unscrupulous elements, and being on the right side of the law for me became a liability, and I was made to understand that not being hand in glove with them could mean serious consequences. And at that point I decided I'm going to quit quarrying, a decision which to this point of time I don't regret. Then what should I do next? My auditor asked me, why should you do something next at this point of your life? I didn't want to leave such an example to my children of somebody who has stopped his career by 40s and playing golf for the rest of his life. And as an entrepreneur, there's a sense of nurturing which is part of your DNA. And I started looking for new opportunities. At this point of time, again, we went on a journey, on a tour to Europe, where a constant conversation in the family was the quality of chocolates. You don't get good chocolates in India. Why is this chocolate different? It struck me that there is something in the chocolates you get in Europe or you get outside India, and the chocolates you get in India. This got the entrepreneur in me ticking. I started on a journey to understand what it is, and I understood that what you supposedly get as chocolates in India is not chocolate or of poor quality. I set on a mission to learn what good chocolate is, and I went across the world to do that. And almost 2 years of research and hard work, I, along with my friend sitting here, my dear friend Mr. Jacob Joy, we set up Liso Chocolatier and got into the market by 2016. Liso means a question which I get very, very often. Liso means smooth in Spanish, and it is a Spaniard who first brought the cocoa bean from South America to Europe and rest of the world. Many people ask me, why chocolates? You know nothing about it. It was the same when I started quarrying in an unknown territory without even knowing the local language. I believe it was the passion and the willingness to learn that got me through. And I hope and pray that will get me through in this business also. Moving from Tamil Nadu to Kerala was another decision, which I think, from my experience in Tamil Nadu, is not a bad one, because Kerala is one state where you can still fight against an injustice with your head still over your shoulders. And getting back to chocolates, we make chocolates which are arguably at par with the best in the world. And as Saiju was telling, we also launched in the market a little early because we wanted customer feedback and corrections to be done. We also do chocolate spreads, which are available in retail outlets, and we plan to take it pan-India in a couple of years. And right now we are in almost 300 outlets across Kerala, and we will cover Kerala by this year end. As with every entrepreneur on stage here, I too would agree that it's never too late to start. There is always a better idea. It's not that your idea is going to get copied by somebody. There is always a better idea, and as an entrepreneur, you got to be on your toes. Moving from an industry where you didn't have to sell, the product is so much in demand, I moved into very hardcore retail, and I realized that unlike what you have heard or unlike what I have heard, customer is not the king. He is just another human being like you and me. The quicker I get to understand him, better are my chances of winning. And finally, I prefer to choose my battle. The moment I understood that somebody else's manipulation skills was getting over my business skills, I quit quarrying. I know life is not fair always, but you always got a choice. So my choice was to move on. Thank you.
Am I audible? So, are you all ready with questions? Okay, let me prompt a few here. Where do you see your business going, the new venture going 5 years from now? Start with Rekha.
I see myself getting invested, huge money coming into the business. I see my brand growing across the world. Yeah, that's on a very lighter note. I think I did mention towards the end of my session that I've reached an age where I feel I've taken so much from the world. Society has given me so much, and I think it's a time for me to give something back to the society. So as I said, yes, the product, the service that we're working with the brand Sutika is very important. But for me, this whole concept of working with women at the bottom of the pyramid, empowering them, creating a self-sustainable business model for them is something which I think makes me a little bit more happy than making money. I think I would say that.
Okay, thank you. Sarah?
Yeah, same question? Yeah. Okay, so...
to be fair, I have to...
Actually, Rekha said something that I completely agree with, which is, developing women. Especially, I know that I'm in a completely different industry. In terms of my industry and Blue Timber and where I see it going, we want to be everywhere. I want to be across the world, and I want everyone who wants to learn music and who wants to develop their skill, to be able to have access to the material that we can give them, an organized way of learning music.
This is you have three verticals, but your education is where you want
Education
to
is
reach
one
out far
the-
out. And
Yes,
Yeah?
that's definitely my focus, and
Okay.
that's the first thing that we'll be looking at.
okay.
Okay, and in terms of there's something that we are also exploring in terms of helping children who don't have access to quality education and quality music education, and we'd really like to develop and help. As the business goes, we'd like to give back. That's one. And I think also to develop, so music is also just like any other industry in India. I think it's dominated by men. And
Is it so?
yeah, very much so. So I know you see the women maybe singers and all that on TV, but it's still very much dominated by men. And there is a lot of opportunity. It's not just about showing skin and standing on stage. There is so much
Excuse
more
me,
in music. A teacher,
sorry.
content development,
Yeah.
working with children. There's so much opportunity, and we are exploring that as well. We're training people, training women to get into those roles as well.
Okay. Thank you. Saiju.
Yeah.
By the way, Saiju, I also made an observation that you said your son's instance as one of the motivating factor. But I think otherwise, I think as a scientist, you would have gone into these kind of
Yes.
researches anyway.
Yeah.
I think that...
I think the scientist, the upbringing has helped me to inquire into the problem not in an emotional level, but in an intellectual level. And I use the scientific temperament to get in the right people to think about it, analyze. The word analyze, lysis means to break down. So ana means to again and again, to repeatedly break down and come to the grassroots level. It helped. Yeah.
So you even analyzed and analyzed.
Yeah, analyze. So actually, Kishore, that's nice. See, I have something very common with Kishore. That is, we are classmates, and of course, Kishore is one of the early investors in EduBrisk, and we are together from grade 8. But there's another one very common thing. See, I mentioned about how Benedict Carey in his book, he writes that education or learning is as addictive as chocolates. So there's a common point out here. Yeah. So in that he explains that actually chocolates produces something called a dopamine effect. That's why I guess even stress-related obesity and all are connected to this, because when you eat it, you feel world is peaceful and happy, and then you yeah. So he says that all children would love to learn, and he also goes and says it's as addictive as chocolate, which means that's why some of us, when in our childhood, we would get these problems to solve and all, and we couldn't go to sleep without solving it. It's addictive, but. So I feel the right process of learning and the right tools, software or tools or even hardware tools, can bring in that addictive nature of learning, like chocolates. Over to the chocolate boy.
No. Wait, we have digressed with my observation.
Yeah.
So 5 years from now,
All right, 5 years from now, I answered that actually. I anticipate a celebration of knowledge in I would say the dinner table talk in every house would be brain-friendly learning, which means the parent and the child, and when they are at home at the dinner table, they would be talking about things like neuroplasticity, how I learned something even faster, how we could connect things. Sometime back, I was meeting Rajesh Nair and for lunch, and Rajesh Nair's daughter was here. So she asked me, what do you do? So I was trying to explain it to her in a way I thought she could relate. When we make this atta mix, that is, from the powder, wheat powder, it's so disintegrated and powdered all over the place. You don't get a grip. But you put the water on it, mix it and mix it and mix it, and you put more water, mix it. It becomes one ball, and all those atta sticking around will also come. It is called the integrated chunk of information. I think knowledge 5 years from now, for most of these children, will see the integrated, the thread that connects everything in language and music, as she said, and math. There's math in music, so much of math in music. and there's so much of language, and all these things will come together, and the computer science and neuroscience will bring the concept of education into that one atta piece which is powdered. That's
Well, today is a day of metaphors. We had Ambarish Murthy, comparing the ascending of entrepreneurship with the mountain climbing, and we have assimilation of knowledge with atta mixing. So very, very nice.
Thanks to Rajesh's daughter who inspired me.
Sure.
To give all credit to Saiju, we've been, as he said, we've been classmates. I know his son, and it's really unfair to say that he has some problem. You'll never, he doesn't have any problem right now. All credits to Saiju.
Big hand.
As a company, when I go back to my company or our company, there's one simple definition we say. One of the most popular brands in the world is Godiva, and we want to be the Godiva of India within 5 years. One thing. Second thing is in the spreads, we take on two multinational brands in the world. One is Ferrero and other is Hershey's, and we want to displace them. Nothing shorter.
So, Kishore, I can see, is a man of few words and of big action. So, okay, we'll start the next one in the reverse order. Okay, what were the first leg, whatever your first phase was, what are the experiences or lesson learned in the first phase that was useful to you in the new venture that you are?
From when compared to my earlier venture, this time I made sure that I do my homework, a lot of homework before I start into this. And interestingly, I wanted to travel across the world, and the course on industrial manufacturing in chocolates was in Germany, and applied for.
You actually went and studied there.
Yeah, so that is on industrial manufacturing. So when I applied for a visa, they rejected us because what is this guy who was doing quarrying got to do with chocolates? He was just trying to escape from India or something. They didn't know. So
you had to show your bank balance.
Even the bank balance didn't help. So what really helped was I got the right person to talk. So networking always helps.
Right,
and I got a Schengen visa for 2 years, which is normally not a norm for Germany to give. So
Usually 6 months, multiple entry.
so that is what I got. So this is one of learning and networking is something which is very essential for an entrepreneur.
Saiju, before we start, I just wanted to clarify. Your learning is up to school level, your platform?
No, it can be for teachers, it can be for parents, it's learn to learn. We call it learn to learn. Before you learn to earn.
Okay. So, if you could dwell upon.
Yeah. So, a morning I was listening to Mr. Natarajan, awesome speech, and I loved it, his speech. So, Natarajan was mentioning that when you have an idea, go and discuss it with others. And he said, don't worry, nobody will take your idea. He said it so boldly. So, as an entrepreneur, when I had this idea, I was so afraid to discuss with others because, it's like so many educational companies and e-learning platform. Then, now, over a period of time, I realized you can go and boldly discuss this idea with anybody because it is so difficult to implement, including for yourself. Nobody. So the real difficult part is taking an idea. I think the entrepreneur's biggest challenge is to take an idea and convert it into a product and a service. That's the biggest challenge. And I think the catalyst is good mentors. We need to have very good mentors. At least I would say 3 mentors. And 3 mentors can be from different field. And when you listen to a mentor, it's not that you have to follow the mentor fully. That's another part, that you can take an idea and do it another way and go back and tell the mentor, you told me, when I was making the knowledge bank concept, it's a very complex concept of breaking down every subject, physics into all 8 energies and each energy into its subpart, optics into refraction and reflection and wave theory optics and ray optics and quantum mechanical, all this breaking down. Mahesh, the Emerge Ventures founder, Mahesh was telling me at that, but he gave me the right advice. He said, don't go for it. So I didn't go for it in the beginning. Later on, when he told me again, I had this desire to go for it. He told me, don't go for it. But this time I went for it. And it was, so I've understood that mentoring, taking mentorship from many, 2 or 3 good, Sam helped me, Mahesh helped me, then, mentoring, that converts the idea into a practical product. Yeah. Actually, Kishore is another mentor whom I had. So he's saying that I'm going to charge for it now. Okay.
Okay, Sarah, please.
The question?
Question again is, what was the learnings from the first phase? What was useful for you in your second phase of from a career,
Sure.
your job or your family business?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, in terms of where I'm at with Blue Timber, I would say we're probably moving. We are probably at the fag end of the first phase. Okay, so it's still early days, but I think there were 3 things that really got me through. An idea is one thing, a passion is one thing, putting it together in a feasible form that will generate money and business. You need people to guide you. You need to be clear about what it is. You need to have domain knowledge. So I think that is the right way to go about doing it, and which I did, where I took those years, to work and understand the industry, domain knowledge, and then you have to be focused, and you have to get certain, if you have milestones that you need to meet and do, you have to get those things done. And any entrepreneur knows this is basic grit, right? Because there are days that you don't want to wake up and go there, but you have to do it. And we've already come a long way. We used to be a very young organization, but we've come a long way in terms of, we started with, say, 5 people, and now we're like 3 or 4 times that number. And, we have a space. I remember there was just a building with dust in it, and now we have 200 students that come to Blue Timber in itself, approximately around 200. And we are working with so many famous artists, bands, right? And we're working with schools where we teach hundreds of students. So we've done a lot of things, but we do require guidance from time to time. And I think it's important to discuss. And that's where, again, the family business has been really good for me in terms of guiding and helping connect me to the right people who can guide me further.
That from my life is to be frugal in your startup. When you're frugal, what I mean by frugal is not penny pinch, but what I mean is, bootstrap on one side, invest only what you can afford to lose. Don't think that there is somebody out there just waiting to invest money into a losing business. Nobody does. If your business is bleeding continuously, even you won't be able to fund it forever, So the startup means, whether it's a startup or a business, it has to grow by itself. It has to be like a parasite. You cannot wait for others to feed you. You have to feed from within the business, make money and spend it. Don't think that your family is going to invest or an investor is going to come in and, invest money and take it forward. That's what I learned. Another thing I learned is about continuous learning. I had started a business which had a big balance sheet, but I never learned anything much sitting there. But today, if you ask me, I learned big things like EBITDA, very scary word, but, then discounted cash flow, economies of scale. All these are words which you have to learn if you have to take your brand to another level. So continuous learning is something I think it is very, very important for everybody. It's an addiction. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Rick. So, floor is open now for questions.
What made you move away from your family business in terms of, automobiles and what you're doing now? There is a connectivity, except that we listen to the music when we are traveling the car. But what made you move away completely from the family business? If it's a very sensitive question to answer, don't answer.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Okay, this might come as a shocker, but when we were growing up, my dad always said, don't come to the family business. Okay, I'm promising you that's true. Nobody will believe it, but it's absolutely true. What he always told us, and which the rest of the family, my uncles, my cousins, everybody has always told us is, try to build something of your own, stemming from your own passion, so that it will drive you and motivate you to go forward. You don't need to come back to this business. It is always there. Okay? But as we learn and as we grow, we also see businesses also have some lifespan. Okay? And we are seeing that with so many businesses that have been there for centuries also shutting down. So we all have to evolve. And in terms of the family business, I mean, we've grown up with automobiles and we've always loved cars and, the speed and all those things. But we've always been encouraged to follow our dreams, follow our passions. And I mean, maybe it's the little child in me, but I've always leaned towards music. And that's purely goes to my mother, because she developed the love of music in us, all of us, me and my siblings. And my entire family sings, performs, and we've always done that, growing up. So it's always been in me. I've been extremely passionate about music, and I always knew that I would want to do something in music someday. Yeah.
Well answered. Thank you. Any question?
Yeah. Good evening. My question is to Ms. Rekha as well as to Mr. Kishore. Now, both of you have highlighted the importance of failures for your progress. My question is, have these situations actually derived any long-term interest for you?
Long-term repercussions?
Long-term interest. Have been the situations of failures, have these been developed?
From our premises was billed and sent out. It is unheard in our industry, and we used to do that. The moment I felt that I will have to compromise that to run my business, I said, what am I doing? Why should I do this? Why am I doing this for money? I didn't want to do anything for money. So if in this business also, if it comes a situation where I have to compromise on my ethics, I'll sure, for reasons which are beyond my control, I'm sure I will leave it. There's no second choice on it.
See, failure is probably a very harsh word, and probably it's a word that you use a lot in your younger days. That's what I personally feel. I did mention in my speech that a couple of my failures I definitely could have avoided. When I say couple, I don't have so many pegged up, okay? It's a little bit of exaggeration to keep everybody on their toes. Yeah, so I always compare a startup or any entrepreneurship with that of a baby. When you have a child, when you give birth to a child, and it's like that. The pains and the pangs of starting a business is just like having a baby. And then you watch it growing. And then you reach a stage where you have to let go. This letting go can be due to several reasons. Okay, when I talked about my family business, it's very much there. The family business that I started, it was an extension of my family business, but I coined the 3 words. I mean, even though I'd done my MBA, it didn't strike my mind when I coined the 3 words BCG when I started my builders division. My business is very much there. It's just that I decided to let it go to the extent that my sister manages the business. It's not that I have okay, now that is over, let me just move on to the next thing. I manage schools. I have 2 schools that I manage. When it comes to managing schools, it's about, as I said, it's a mainstream business. It is about team building and keeping them inspired and empowered to carry it on the shoulders of the team that is managing it. I'm not a teacher. I don't have to go there and teach every day. So it is not about just giving up just because you're a failure. But let me personally tell you, I'm sure you all have heard the statistics about startups fail 98% of startups fail in the first 5 years. So I call it the 5-year itch. If you're doing something wrong, I just mentioned earlier that if you are pouring good money down a tunnel which is just bleeding, there is no point. Either innovate Either evolve, reinvent, or please don't hesitate to let go just because people will call you a failure. Please don't hesitate to let go. But work on it. See if you can take it to the next level. If you cannot, just because society is going to call you a failure, I don't think you should just keep on pumping good money down, the throat of a bad product. Thank you.
Kishore wants to contribute something more.
In fact, I got out of the business when it was doing extremely well.
Okay, point taken. So I think we have to sum up for paucity of time. Here, so we have set of 4 young entrepreneurs here who rather, not for failure, but changed course for whatever life circumstances, prompted them or forced them. So, 2 doubts about their commitment to grow big, as Kishore said. He wants to displace all the major big brands and, occupy shelf space, be the number 1 in India, whereas chocolates go. And same as what Saiju was saying, he wants to become this education and neuroplasticity, right? Okay, I got it right. Okay, as to become a table topic, yeah, dinner table, yeah. So so they are very, very passionately committed to the causes. Sarah, or you are aiming high on taking music education, right? Across the globe, right? That's what she dreams big as. And Rekha, also Ayurveda products, empowerment of women. Yeah, okay, that's as well. Yeah, but women short of militancy. Yeah, okay. All right, so let's give them what question?
Yeah,
the last one. Yeah, yes, we are short of time.
Good evening, ma'am. My question is to Rekha, ma'am. So, I just read on site about your product little bit, but I couldn't get it. So my question is, recently, maybe in post 2000s, we have lot of abnormalities, like be it autism, be it Down syndrome, be it some kind of learning disability, or even things like schizophrenia, like coming into children, like lot of mental illness. And all these are attributed to mother, and also all the epics also have taught us the importance of the the pregnancy, right from the period of conceivement till the maybe child is 5 years or so, and the responsibility of parenting is always put into, especially in Kerala, I believe, on the mother and not the father. So, okay, so how is your product?
Trust me, it's good to have one person I'm talking as not only from the Ayurveda perspective, as a chairperson of a school,
Okay.
I'm telling you it's good to have one idea onto your child instead of complicating the child with 2 heads and one person bashing the child from this side and the other person bashing the child from this side. It's better to have one person driving the child in one direction, probably in the right direction, that is.
Okay.
Yeah, MSA. It's good. Please keep away. Let the women run the house.
No, but it's usually if it's a child is a good, then it's a men. Okay, if child is a bad, then something.
Don't worry. The time is all behind us. Whether good or bad, the child is totally yours.
So my question is, how do your product ensure? Do your product ensure something like that? Like you do a lot of Ayurveda and yoga and things like that. So something.
Technically, my product doesn't do any of these things.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. What is Sutika is? Sutika is a deep passion that I have for traditional practices. Okay. As a Malayali woman, I think, I don't know, do you have children?
No, I'm not married.
You are not married, sorry. But if you have other people in the family, you will know that Prasava is something which, Prasava means post-pregnancy care is something which Malayali women, not only Malayali women, across India and across the world, I've seen this, that is a time when a woman gets to take care of herself. The rest of the time, the women are running, either running the family or working. So this is one window where nobody expects her to do anything. So the goal of Sutika, or the aspirations of Sutika, is to ensure that the woman is, and the body goes through a lot of changes, and the idea is to bring the woman back to her, the state, at least as much as possible, to the state where she was in her earlier days. The idea is when you are, all those characters, all those inefficiencies that you said, has a lot to do with the mother being heavily stressed during the early days. So Sutika is a way in which the mothers are relaxed so that they can take better care of their babies. So from that sense, yes. But beyond that, no.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's give a round of applause to all these young stalwarts here. Just a moment, please stay back. MC.
Rekha Babu, thank you so much. Sarah John.
No Ayurveda.
Saiju Arvind.
Not from my side, at least. I don't think any of you need Sutika.
And Kishore George.
No, but that's what. I don't think you need. Very nice. Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.